I have to say, maybe a little bit unconventional. He didn't quite put the results out there this year we were expecting, but Chris Froome actually would go in my winners category.
Really?
He was quoted by several members of the press as being the nicest guy in the peloton. So may not be a performance-oriented metric, but I think to kind of hear something nice about a guy from the past, kind of interesting.
That is something that's worth noting about Chris Froome is, and we hear this a lot from our colleague Gregor, and we see it anytime Chris Froome is interviewed. Mm-hmm. He gives Gregor time. He gives the fans time, and he isn't performing the way that obviously like Israel Startup Nation, they signed him because he is a Tour de France winner, and they want him to win the Tour. But we've just seen him hanging out after races, sitting on the bumper of his car and letting journalists come up to him and just, chat away. I think that is, while Chris Froome is still on the road to recovery, we don't know if we're going to see a comeback, a Mark Cavendish-style comeback from Chris Froome.
Absolutely.
We just don't know. But what he is doing is he is being incredibly open, incredibly personable, and giving the press time. So I like that take because I had actually put Israel Startup Nation as a loser for this tour, and we can go back to that. But we'll keep it positive right now. I like where you're thinking with Chris Froome. One winner. I'm consulting this because I've got a few. I will say I've got more losers. A winner for me, it has to be Team UAE. They rocked up with the strongest guy in the race, and there's a lot of talk about UAE throughout the tour. They don't have the strength, they don't have the depth of a Jumbo-Visma, of a Team Ineos, but heck, they did their job. They protected Pogacar. They set him up to go on the attack. They defended him in the mountains. They kept him upright throughout the entire tour, which was
a big feat this year.
significant. So yeah, UAE, I think that was a slam dunk tour for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was nothing that was boring at all about watching UAE work the front of the groups. There was nothing boring at all about seeing Pogacar come out and actually continue that streak of excellence that he exudes as a, how old is he now? 22-year-old. I mean, he's still rocking the U23 jersey, and so wow, really made an exciting tour again.
You got any other winners for us?
I do. Lachlan Morton did the really cool alt-tour bikepacking style trip through the entire Tour de France stage, every single stage plus the transfers, on a team bike loaded down with bikepacking bags, and at one point in sandals.
Majority of,
I think,
the
in
time
sandals.
In sandals, Lachlan
absolutely.
Morton. If you weren't following along with Lachlan's journey through France, go catch up because it's one of the most incredible things that we've seen. He was riding through the rain, started struggling, like none of his gear was drying out. I think that's maybe
fried the Di2 battery, got blisters on his feet.
So he ended up in Birkenstocks, and he cut the front strap off because he got blisters from them. And he just did he rode over 5,000 kilometers in Birkenstocks. The guy is
maniac, and at the same time raising money.
And he's so good. He raised over $500,000 to get kids on bicycles so they can get an education, ride their bicycles in undeveloped areas to school. It's just absolutely amazing.
Thank you, Lachlan.
And then to see Lachlan's dad surprise him at the end of the race. That was special for me. I was teammates with the Morton brothers.
Nice.
And they are, let me just say, they're as genuine as they come across. Like Lachlan's, he went out and rode 60K after he finished this all tour just with people around Paris. He's down to earth. He does it for the right reasons. And that was a remarkable summer that he just had in France. Any other winners?
I think let's talk about that losers list. Sounds like you got some holes burning there.
Well, I do have to say one winner, Mark Cavendish, obviously now tied with Eddie Merckx. Might have liked the Champs-Élysées sprint finish. I think that we were all left a little bit hanging, not seeing him take that stage 21. But hey, to go to the Tour de France was a victory. To put himself on the podium would have been a victory. He won 4 stages in the green jersey. That's like, you can't really ask for anything better. And then Wout van Aert.
Absolutely.
Because can you think of a better trifecta of wins?
No.
A sprint, a time trial, and then the Mont Ventoux stage. Watch out. He is a winner, and actually this is kind of the big reason why. Just looking at his preparation, he did not go into the Tour de France flying. He has said that he has been building up for the Tokyo Olympics, and I think that I was surprised to not see him featuring both in the early stages in Brittany and then that stage 5 time trial. He just wasn't where I thought that he
Yeah,
where I expected him to be. But then you contrast his first week performance with his second half of the Tour performance, and you just see that trajectory and where he's going, which is Tokyo.
Absolutely.
In a few short days, he's going to be racing there. I think that he has timed his summer to absolute perfection, and yeah, those 3 wins alone are pretty special. Let's go into the losers. Enough positivity.
All right. I think we kind of both agreed with this, but Ineos Grenadiers, our most winning team, I think, last year, correct? And weren't able to produce any results this year. Kind of a disappointment.
You can't say that they didn't produce any results because they got a guy.
Produce as many results.
They got a guy on the podium.
They did.
They got a guy on the overall podium, but it was not the guy that we were expecting. I was expecting Richard Carapaz to lend a hand to Geraint Thomas's tour.
Absolutely.
Geraint Thomas wasn't where he needed to be, ended up crashing. Like that, these guys just can't keep themselves off the ground. And Thomas has crashed at the back of the peloton. I think that was him. You know,
he was the only one that went down, I think, in that crash.
It was him and Robert Gessing.
Oh, okay.
And Gessing ended up having to abandon because of it. Yeah, so, I mean, one, they got to keep their leaders off the ground, Ineos Grenadiers. 2, they went in with 4 guys who could potentially win, and they came away with a podium, which is great, but no stage wins. Just for the budget, the salaries, everything that Ineos takes to the tour. For another team of a lesser stature, it'll be a win. But for Ineos, you just have to kind of expect more, and they are definitely left scratching their heads, thinking, what are we going to do with this Tadej Pogacar guy? Like, how are we going to get back to the top? And this is something I'm excited about the Vuelta because I think that they're going to try some things there. We'll talk about that. So I agree. Ineos Grenadiers, a loser. This is another one that we agree on, I think. Bahrain Victorious.
Absolutely. So doping scandals. Seems like the Tour and professional cycling can't stay away from them.
It is 2021 and people's hotel rooms are still being raided by the police. Now, these are allegations. Yeah, we don't really know much other than Bahrain Victorious was raided by the French police for doping allegations, but it's...
Doesn't really look good.
It's not a good look.
Not a good look. Let's just say that all eyes are going to be on them for quite a while, and you know, who knows how long this investigation is going to go on.
Yeah.
It could be months, could be years.
You know, innocent until proven guilty, but those 2 stage wins that they got at the Tour, there are already asterisks there because it's just not a good look. Other losers, you can argue with me if you like on this one. Israel Startup Nation, they produced a lot of excitement. Mike Woods was so dynamic in the mountains, got the polka dot jersey for a day. If you go back at the start of the year for what Israel Startup Nation had penned out for their Tour de France, though, this looked a lot different. They had to make the last-minute decision to have Mike Woods take leadership. Chris Froome, who they had hoped would be winning a yellow jersey, was nowhere near the mark. And Woods, he put out an incredible ride, ended up packing it up, leaving early to go to Tokyo because that's his big goal. Fair enough. But, you know, they walked away with no stage wins, no jerseys for a team that had big ambitions in January. So I think that they're going to be kind of scratching their heads a little bit as well and looking at how they're going to step it up in 2022 because this is a team with a big budget and big aspirations, and I think that what they did at the Tour doesn't, quite match up with those aspirations.
Yeah, I'd half agree on that. I mean, I feel like they did have some strong players, and they do have a lot of youth on the team, but at the same time, with the budget that they had and the players that they brought in with Woods and Froome, I was really expecting a lot more out of them. So it's we'll see what happens in 2022. I mean, they're a team that's going to be around for... as long as there's a startup nation.
I mean, it's a cool team, and tip of the hat to Andre Greipel.
Oh, absolutely! Congratulations on a great career.
Great career. Finished it off. I think he was 5th on the Champs-Élysées.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's cool. He hasn't really been winning for the last couple of years on that stage, and to get 5th in his last sprint on the Champs-Élysées, he's got to be happy with that. That's a nice way to end a very good career. You have any other losers before I start going down this?
Yeah, let's move on to some classic racing.
I have many.
Oh, you have many. Okay.
I have many. So Lotto Soudal, they're bummed. They lost Caleb Ewan early in that sprint.
They did.
they had some good rides. Brent Van Moor, that stage 4 where he almost held it off, that was hugely exciting. But Lotto Soudal, Quebec, the Quebec team, they did pretty much nothing.
They lost a lot of their team early in the Tour, actually, I believe.
They lost a lot of their team. They were trying in breakaways. It just wasn't working out for them. DSM, I mean, talk about hero to zero. They were a team, I think that they had multiple stage wins last year. I think maybe 3.
I think it was 3, yeah.
Yeah, Mark Hirschi, Soren Kragh Andersen, Casper Pedersen, they were a force of nature last year's Tour. This year, DSM did squat. They just weren't there.
I don't think they had a single stage win.
Not a single stage win. They're going home empty-handed, and for me, they have good riders. They lost Mark Hirschi, fair enough, but it's a team that when you look back through their history, like they do not hold good riders. Marcel Kittel bought himself out of his contract on that squad.
True.
They can
never forget.
Mark Hirschi, under similar circumstances, just very hastily left at the end of last season. I think it's a management thing. They're not keeping the talent, or they're not nurturing the talent because they went with a good team and they just didn't produce. So they've got to be looking at how they're going to remedy that. And then Astana, Movistar, Groupama FDJ, Bike Exchange, EF, no stage wins. They're going home empty-handed. Not a good look from the Tour. And all of this negativity is to say I am expecting fireworks at the Vuelta.
Oh, absolutely.
Because a lot of teams...
Most of these teams.
A lot of teams left the Tour pretty upset. And when you are looking, you can go online right now and look. Vuelta start list is already forming, and it's pretty epic. Tadej Pogacar is on the start list. Jumbo-Visma is just taking their entire Tour de France team back to the Vuelta for redemption.
Don't break it if it's not broken,
I mean, it's a bummer for Sepp Kuss because he was going to go to the Vuelta and be the leader, but now he has Steven Kruijswijk and Primoz Roglic back on the start list for the Vuelta. Ineos Grenadiers, they have Adam Yates, they have Richard Carapaz going. All this to say, a lot of teams are going home from the Tour empty-handed, and I'm seeing a general shift of attention to the Vuelta because a lot of people are going to the Vuelta and thinking
redemption.
Yeah, redemption, and also they're going to have to test some things because they have to figure out how to beat Tadej Pogacar. This is 2 years in a row for Pogacar, and it was like kids throwing pebbles at him.
Oh yeah,
they've got to test some things, figure out how to put Pogacar on the defensive at the Vuelta, and then take that strategy to the Tour next year. So I'm excited for the Vuelta personally.